Ariana Brooks never expected her life to change on a Tuesday morning that smelled of bleach and quiet humiliation. At 16, wearing a janitor's uniform that people looked through instead of at, she pushed her cleaning cart past executives who didn't even pause their conversations. But everything shattered the moment she overheard four foreign investors whisper in flawless Mandarin that Brightline Innovations would collapse within the hour, and that everyone working there, including her mother, would be out of a job. Her heart pounded. She shouldn't speak. She shouldn't interrupt. A black girl from the cleaning staff wasn't supposed to walk into $1 million negotiation, but she did. And when she opened her mouth, the entire room froze. Stay with this story, because what Ariana did next shocked every powerful person in that building. And it will shock you too. On a cold Tuesday morning in Denver, the kind that makes the skyline look sharper than usual, Brightline Innovations was supposed to step into the biggest business deal in its history. But instead of confidence, the 15th floor pulsed with quiet panic, a kind of panic that spreads without anyone saying a word. Stephen Callahan, CEO for the past decade, stood in the conference room adjusting his tie for the 5th time. He was a man who rarely wavered, but today he couldn't hide the tightness around his eyes. His wife, Evelyn, arranged the meeting materials with stiff hands, while their son Tyler kept checking his phone, pretending it helped. They were all waiting for one man, the translator, the only person who could save this meeting with the Chinese investors arriving in less than 10 minutes. But the translator wasn't coming. A car accident on the way. Not serious, but serious enough to leave Brightline without a voice in a negotiation worth millions. Stephen whispered, "We can't afford this. Not today. Not when we're one contract away from bankruptcy." Evelyn didn't answer. She didn't need to. The fear in her eyes said everything. Outside the glass walls, staff hurried by, unaware of how close the company was to collapsing. And among them, almost invisible to everyone, pushed a cleaning cart Ariana Brooks, a 16-year-old black girl who'd spent 6 months working alongside her mother, Monica. Most employees didn't look at Ariana long enough to remember her name. To them, she was the cleaning girl or the janitor's kid. But Ariana had a mind full of languages, ambition, and unpolished brilliance no one ever bothered to ask about. As she wiped down windows near the conference room, she heard every word of the chaos unfolding on the other side of the glass. Not intentionally, people simply never lowered their voices around her. To them, she wasn't really there. She glanced toward the hallway just in time to see 4 sharply dressed Chinese investors step out of the elevator. They spoke Mandarin among themselves. Ariana froze. She understood every single word. They were already suspicious, already annoyed, already assuming American companies didn't respect their time. One of them murmured in Mandarin, "If they can't even prepare proper communication, how can they manage a partnership?" Ariana's heart thudded hard. She knew what was coming next. If they walked out of that room, Brightline Innovations, the place where her mother worked double shifts to keep them afloat, would go under. Monica would lose her job. Ariana would lose her only source of income. She stepped back, gripping her rag a little too tightly. She wasn't supposed to get involved. She was supposed to clean, smile politely, stay quiet, stay invisible. That's how black cleaning staff survived in corporate America. Blend into the background. She knew the rules, but her instincts wrestled with them. Meanwhile, in the conference room, Stephen expected the worst. The investors entered. Everyone exchanged stiff greetings. Then it happened, the moment Ariana had been dreading. Stephen attempted the presentation, but once the investors responded, in Mandarin, the room fell apart. He pretended to understand. Evelyn tried a translation app that butchered every sentence. Tyler stepped out to call agencies. Nothing worked. The investors shifted, preparing to leave. And Ariana heard one say, in Mandarin, "Let's end this. It's unprofessional." Her breath caught. This was the moment. If she stayed quiet, Brightline would die. If she spoke, she risked humiliation, because no one in that building believed a black teenage janitor could be the smartest person in the room. And yet, she stepped forward. Just then, Monica appeared in the hallway. "Ariana, sweetheart, you done with the 3rd floor?" she whispered. Ariana barely heard her. She was staring at Stephen, whose face was sinking into defeat. "Mom," Ariana murmured, If this deal fails, they'll shut Brightline down. You'll lose the job." Monica stiffened. "We don't get involved in these things. You know how it is. We keep our heads down." Ariana swallowed. She knew exactly what her mother meant. Black women in corporate buildings didn't cause scenes. They didn't offer opinions. They survived by being unnoticeable. But today, unnoticeable wasn't an option. Suddenly, the conference room door swung open. Tyler returned, frustrated. "No agencies have anyone available. We're screwed. That's it." And that was when Steven saw them, Monica and Ariana, standing in the hallway. For the first time, his eyes actually rested on Ariana. Not as a silhouette pushing a cleaning cart, but as someone standing there with purpose. The room went silent when Ariana took one small step forward. "Mr. Callahan?" she said softly. He blinked. "Yes?" Ariana's voice trembled at first but strengthened as she continued. I can help with the translation." Tyler laughed under his breath, a short, dismissive scoff. Evelyn's eyebrows shot up. Monica whispered harshly, "Ariana, no." But Ariana held her ground. Steven frowned. "You speak Mandarin?" "Yes, sir." Fluent Mandarin spilled confidently from her lips as she repeated her claim in Chinese. The investors froze. Their eyes widened. The room shifted, energy crackling like electricity. No one expected this, not from a 16-year-old black girl in a janitor's uniform. Tyler muttered, "This is a high-stakes negotiation, not a school project. This is millions of dollars." Evelyn nodded. "Honey, this requires a professional. You're very sweet, but before she could finish, Ariana spoke again, in Mandarin, translating what the investors had just said in the hallway about walking out. Steven's head snapped toward her. "You understood all of that?" "Yes, sir." And she said the next words with a bravery she didn't know she had. "And if they walk out now, Brightline is finished." The investors exchanged looks. The Callahans stared at Ariana as if seeing her for the first time. Everything balanced on a knife's edge. Ariana took a breath, stepped into the conference room, and began to speak directly to the investors in flawless Mandarin. And the entire room, Steven, Evelyn, Tyler, Monica, the executives, the investors, fell silent. Because the girl they had ignored every day just became the only person who could save them, and none of them were prepared for what came next. Do you believe a young black girl being underestimated like this happens in real life? Yes or no? The conference room fell into a stunned silence as Ariana Brooks, 16 years old, wearing a Navy janitorial uniform, still smelling faintly of disinfectant, stood before a panel of multi-million-dollar investors as if she belonged there. Her mother, Monica, hovered in the doorway with her cleaning cart, frozen in disbelief. She had spent her whole life navigating white corporate spaces by being invisible, quiet, harmless. Watching her daughter do the exact opposite felt like both a miracle and a threat. Ariana lifted her chin and repeated her introduction in flawless Mandarin. The investors, stunned moments earlier, now leaned forward, intrigued. Victor Liang, the lead investor with sharp eyes and a voice that carried quiet authority, broke the silence. "Incredible," he murmured in Mandarin. "Your accent, it's almost native. Where did you learn this?" Ariana answered him in Mandarin, clear, respectful, controlled. "I've studied for years, sir, but more importantly, I understand what this company needs from you." Steven Callahan could hardly breathe. Evelyn felt a tremor run down her arms. Tyler stared openly, confused, and irritated in a way he didn't understand. He wasn't used to someone like her taking over the room. Ariana moved closer to the conference table, translating Steven's opening remarks with a confidence that didn't match her age. She captured tone, nuance, intention. She even made subtle cultural adjustments, something only highly trained interpreters understood. The investors nodded, suddenly attentive. But the tension didn't fade. If anything, it thickened. Because as Ariana translated, small things began to shift in the room. Whispers, glances, a raised eyebrow here, a quietly exchanged look there. These weren't surprise reactions anymore. These were doubts. And Ariana felt all of them. The moment she stood near the table, One investor discreetly slid his briefcase closer, almost instinctively. Another adjusted his watch, eyes flicking to her uniform. A third shifted papers as if clearing space, even though she never touched the table. It was subtle, deeply subtle, but unmistakable to any black woman or to any black girl raised by one. It was racial bias wrapped in politeness, polished prejudice. Ariana's cheeks warmed, but she didn't falter. She had grown up reading body language the way others read textbooks. Stephen finally spoke. "Ariana, do you really understand everything they're saying?" She translated his question into Mandarin perfectly. Victor nodded, impressed. But then he asked a question that made the air crackle. "And why," Victor said slowly, "did no one tell us your company had such a talented interpreter? Why was she cleaning the floors?" The room froze. Evelyn stiffened. Tyler blinked. Stephen's throat tightened. No one had a good answer. Ariana translated the question without letting her voice shake. Her mother took a step forward, protectively, as if waiting for someone to belittle her daughter, because that's what usually happened when a black girl dared to shine. Instead, Stephen stumbled through a diplomatic reply. "We didn't know well, we weren't aware of her skill. She's, new." But even he knew how weak that sounded. Ariana repeated his words in Mandarin. The investors exchanged looks that said everything. How does a company overlook a girl like this? Or worse, why didn't they bother to look? But Victor said nothing. He gestured for Ariana to continue. And she did. For nearly an hour, Ariana translated complex financial models, manufacturing processes, projected revenue charts, and risk assessments effortlessly. She didn't just translate the words, she translated the meaning. She became a bridge the room didn't know it needed. And slowly, the entire dynamic shifted. The investors began directing questions to her, not to Stephen. They watched her with growing respect and curiosity. Stephen himself found his frustration melting into awe. Then something happened that no one expected. During a tense discussion on supply chain timelines, Victor leaned back in his chair and spoke softly, almost thoughtfully. "Ariana, tell me something honestly. You said you learned Mandarin for years, but your dialect, it has nuances from Shanghai. That's very hard to pick up unless you were taught by someone native. Whose influence is that?" The question landed like a spark in a room soaked in gasoline, because behind Ariana's answer was a secret she had never shared. Monica's throat tightened. Ariana hesitated. Stephen sensed something deeper, something personal. Tyler narrowed his eyes, sensing opportunity to doubt her again. Ariana steadied herself. "My mother used to work nights in a small Chinese restaurant when I was younger," she explained carefully. "The owner, she taught me my first words. She let me listen to her family speak. That's where it began." She translated her own words back into Mandarin. Victor's expression softened. "Ah, that explains the warmth in your tone. A language taught through kindness sounds different from a language taught through textbooks." But Tyler leaned forward, voice sharp. "You expect us to believe you learned business Mandarin from a restaurant?" Monica's eyes flashed with protective pain. Ariana felt heat rising in her chest, the old familiar sting of being underestimated. Because of her uniform, her background, her skin rose like smoke, but she stayed composed. "I didn't just learn from the restaurant," she said. "I studied every night. I practiced online with native speakers. I read Chinese news, and I listened to your team's conversations for months while cleaning your offices, because no one ever noticed I was there." Her voice didn't crack. Her courage didn't wobble. She translated her own words into Mandarin, and as she did, something extraordinary happened, something no one saw coming. The investors applauded, not loudly, but with quiet, respectful nods. Ariana had just told two truths at once. She was brilliant, and she had been invisible. And everyone in that room, especially the white executives, felt the weight of that revelation. Suddenly, Victor stood. He walked to the window, hands clasped behind his back. "This partnership is valuable," he said slowly, "but talent like hers is priceless." He turned. "We will proceed with negotiations on one condition." Stephen tensed. "Name it." Victor pointed gently toward Ariana. "She stays. She will be our primary communication channel." The room erupted. Tyler spat, "What? She's 16." Evelyn gasped, "She has no formal training." Stephen opened his mouth, caught between fear, pride, and disbelief. But Monica stepped forward for the first time, voice shaking. "My daughter may wear a uniform, sir, but she knows how to fight twice as hard as anyone in this building because she's had to. Don't count her out." The room went dead still. Monica had never challenged anyone above her rank in her life, and it changed everything. Victor nodded slowly. "Good. Then we understand each other." Ariana had no idea what her life was about to become, but everyone else knew one thing. The janitor's daughter had just saved a dying company, and this was only the beginning. The week following the negotiation felt unreal to Ariana Brooks. In just a few days, she went from being invisible, someone people barely looked at, to becoming the girl everyone wanted to talk to, the girl executives whispered about in hallways, the girl whose name suddenly carried weight. But for Ariana, what mattered most was simpler. Her mother, Monica, walked through Brightline Innovations with her shoulders a little straighter, and for the first time in years, people saw her. It wasn't the badges or the uniforms that changed, it was the respect. Respect both mother and daughter had earned, through grit, brilliance, and the courage to speak up in a room where they were never meant to have a voice. On Friday morning, Ariana arrived early for a follow-up meeting with the Chinese investors. The conference room felt different now, not intimidating, not cold. This time, the room felt like possibility. Victor Liang greeted her warmly. "Ariana, we reviewed the partnership terms last night. We're ready to finalize. Your leadership made this possible." Her leadership, two words she never expected to hear in her life at 16. Stephen Callahan, now humbled rather than panicked, looked at Ariana with genuine gratitude. "I owe you more than you know, Ariana. We all do." But then, something unexpected happened. Victor didn't sit at the conference table. Instead, he stood beside Ariana. "Before we finalize, Emma," he said, "there's something we must address." The room stilled. Victor continued, "This young woman saved your company, yet she has been cleaning your floors for months. Do you understand what that means?" Stephen's jaw tightened, not in anger, but in shame. Victor looked around the room, his voice steady but pointed. "You speak of values, of innovation, of growth, but right here under your roof was the clearest example of wasted potential I've seen in years." A heavy silence followed, not defensive, reflective. Ariana swallowed, unsure of what to say, but Monica, standing quietly near the doorway, felt tears fill her eyes. Victor then turned to Ariana. "My company offers international mentorships for young talent. Ariana, would you consider joining our global development program? It would give you access to training, travel, and direct work with multicultural business teams." The room seemed to blur. Her dream, business, languages, international strategy, stood right in front of her. I don't know what to say," Ariana whispered. Monica held her breath. "You say yes," Victor encouraged gently. "The world needs minds like yours." Stephen stepped closer. "Ariana, whatever you choose, Brightline will support it. You have a permanent position here. No uniforms, no cleaning carts, no invisibility. You choose your role." Ariana exhaled, overwhelmed. All her life she'd been told, directly or indirectly, to stay small, to not draw attention, to play it safe, to know her place. But now, her place was wherever she decided to stand. Finally, she spoke. "I want to continue my education, and I want to help other kids like me, kids no one notices, be seen." Victor smiled. "Then we'll help you do exactly that." And with that, the partnership was sealed, not just between Brightline and the investors, but between Ariana and her future. Later that afternoon, the company held a small ceremony in the main lobby. Employees gathered around, murmuring with excitement. Stephen stepped to the front, clearing his throat. "I'd like to recognize someone extraordinary today," he began. "Someone many of us overlooked. Someone who taught us what talent really looks like." He turned toward Ariana. "This is our new junior communications liaison, Ariana Brooks." Applause erupted, loud, genuine. No one looked past her anymore. Monica's hands shook as she clapped. Pride radiated from her like sunlight, and then something even more beautiful happened. Stephen continued, "In honor of Ariana's contribution, Brightline Innovations will launch the Ariana Brooks Talent Initiative, a program dedicated to discovering and supporting underrepresented youth with extraordinary potential, starting with children of our staff." People gasped, some cried. Monica covered her mouth, overwhelmed. The janitor's daughter had just changed the entire company culture. After the crowd dispersed, Monica pulled Ariana into her arms. "You did this," she whispered. "You opened a door they tried to keep closed your whole life." Ariana leaned into her mother. "No, Mom, we did. You carried me through every door until I learned how to walk through one myself." As evening settled over Denver, Ariana walked outside, the city lights reflecting in her eyes. She wasn't a shadow anymore. She wasn't someone people ignored or underestimated. She wasn't a name on the cleaning schedule. She was a voice, a bridge, a beginning. 1 week ago, she cleaned the halls of Brightline Innovations. Today, she helped rebuild its future. 1 week ago, no one looked at her twice. Today, investors fought to mentor her. 1 week ago, she was invisible. Today, she was unstoppable. And somewhere in the distance, Ariana felt the world expand, quietly but undeniably, as if life itself had opened a path forward, inviting her to walk it with her head held high. Her story wasn't just hers anymore. It belonged to every young Black girl who had been overlooked, every child who worked in silence, every person ever told they didn't belong. Ariana had proven them wrong, and she wasn't done yet. She was just getting started. Before ending the video, Ariana's voice echoed in the narrator's final line. "When you open a door for yourself, make sure you hold it open for the next person behind you." The screen faded, hopeful, warm, and powerful. Now it's your turn to share your thoughts. What part of Ariana's journey touched you the most? Do you think talent like hers is often overlooked in real life? Should more companies create programs like the Ariana Brooks Talent Initiative? If you felt inspired, comment 111 below. And tell us, you're watching from which country? Finally, don't forget to share this video so more people can feel this message of hope and equality.